Good morning. Today we are going to discuss analysis of continuous beams by flexibility method. So we have seen what is force transformation method, matrix, how to develop flexibility matrix from force transformation matrix. We have seen the analysis of trusses. Now to do the analysis of continuous beam, it will be good if you go through the videos of consistent deformation method. Because most of the things which I am going to say here as the initial steps are described there. So I am going to start with an example. So consider a continuous beam as shown in figure. You have to analyze it by flexibility method and draw the bending moment diagram. So the first step in flexibility method, it's a force method. So the first step is identify the static indeterminacy or redundancy of the structure. The redundancy is well explained in the constant deformation video. So what is static indeterminacy? First of all, find out the number of unknowns. So this structure is not having any horizontal loads. So we need to consider only the vertical component of reaction. So here vertical reaction 1, here there is a moment for the fixed end. For this support B, there will be a vertical reaction. So support C, there is a vertical reaction. So altogether 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 unknowns. And we need to consider only the 2 equations of equilibrium. Sigma B is equal to 0 and sigma M is equal to 0. So the number of unknowns 4 minus the 2 equations of equilibrium. So the static indeterminacy is equal to 2. Now what is the next step? We have to release the redundance and obtain the statically determinate structure or the primary structure. So there are 2 redundants. I am going to release RB and RC. I am going to release these 2 reaction components, or otherwise I can say remove supports B and C and get the primary structure. So after releasing these 2 reaction components, the primary structure will be a cantilever. So a cantilever will be the primary structure. Now I will mark the redundant forces. Instead of RB, RC, etc., I will be giving the names 1, 2. So I am going to mark this as R1. The redundant here as R2. So this is the primary structure with redundance. So after identifying the redundance, you can release any 2 redundants. So there is flexibility for you to choose the redundants. Here I have chosen RB and RC as redundants. Even if you want to say this moment at this point and this as redundants, if you want to take this as redundant, it will be a simply supported beam with overhang. Or if you want to release this moment HA and release the moment HB, it will become 2 simply supported beams, AB and AC. So in flexibility method, the choice of redundant is, you have the freedom to select the choice of redundants. A cantilever is a simplest structure. A simplest determinate structure is a cantilever. So I am going to select R1 and R2 as redundants. This is my primary structure. So step 2. Matrix methods requires that the external loads, here the load is acting on the span. So I have to treat this as a 2 element structure. It is an element method. So I am going to split this structure into 2 elements. The first element AB and the second element BC. As you say, this is A, this element is B, and I am considering the moment coordinates. This is the element force P1 at the end of the first element, P2 at the second node of the first element. Similarly here, this is P1 of B, P2 of B. These are P1 of A and P2 of A. These are the element coordinates. The element coordinates chosen for the problem. The total structure is divided into two elements. So next step is we have to convert these loads into the equivalent join loads. Matrix methods requires that the element have connectivity at the nodes and all the external loads must be acting at the nodes only. So that is the next step. The step 2 is equivalent joint load and get the analysis structure. I'll come to this. What is analysis structure? Equivalent joint load is familiar to you. It has been discussed in previous video. What is equivalent joint load? So to arrive at the equivalent joint load, let us consider each span separately. Consider the span AB. Assume it as a fixed beam. The load acting is 20 kN. Write down the fixed end moments. The fixed end moment at these 2 points will be central load WL by 8, WL by 8, which will work out to 7.5 kilonewton meter. This is also 7.5. Consider the next span BC. It is subjected to uniformly distributed load 5 kilonewton per meter. So the equivalent joint load is fixed end moment is WL square by 12 at both ends, and substituting the value W and L, this will work out to 10.42 kilonewton meter. So these are the fixed end moment. The first step for formulation of equivalent joint load is evaluate the fixed end moment at two ends of the element. Now, equivalent joint load is nothing but negative of fixed end moment. So you change the sign of the fixed end moments. So next step is equivalent joint load. So considering this, our structure is, primary structure is a cantilever beam. So here it is anti-clockwise 7.5. So we reverse it clockwise 7.5 kilonewton meter. And at the point B, there is a 7.5 clockwise and 10.42 anti-clockwise. So the algebraic sum of these two will be anti-clockwise 2.92. So you reverse it. So it is clockwise 2.92. At this point C, there is clockwise moment 10.42. So you reverse it anti-clockwise 10.42 kilonewton meter. This is called the equivalent joint load. Write down the fixed end moments at both ends. If there is any intermediate joint, you take the contribution from both the spans and find out the total value, algebraic sum, and reverse all the fixed end moments. That is called the equivalent joint load. So this is the primary structure showing equivalent joint load. Now, coming to analysis structure. Analysis structure is, we can have certain deletions from this. That means, so this is equivalent to, instead of this 20 kilonewton and 5 kilonewton per meter, this original structure is subjected to a moment of 7.5 at A, a moment of 2.92 at B, and 10.42 at C. We can replace it with these three moments. Now you check from one end. In this beam, if there is a moment acting at A, considering right of section, there will not be any bending moment at any point. Definition of bending moment is, if you want to find out the bending moment at a point, consider right of the section and take algebraic sum of all the moments. So if we apply 7.5 kilonewton meter at A, that will not, because that is a reaction component of the support A. Just easier way to identify is, this moment is a reaction component of the support A, so that support will take that reaction. It will not cause any bending anywhere in the beam. So even if we don't take it in the analysis, even if we delete it, it will not change the analysis. So this 7.5 kilonewton meter, which is acting at the fixed support, this can be deleted for the analysis purpose. Even if you did not consider this, the result will be the same, because that is a reaction of support A. It will not produce any bending anywhere. Then 2.92, if in the hinge there is a moment is acting, this beam will bend. If this in the hinge, say this is a support in the hinge, if this moment is acting, this 2.92 moment is acting, this portion will bend up and this portion will come down. This will produce bending. Hence, this has to be taken into account. Similarly, a moment at this hinge that will produce, this is an anti-clockwise moment, so this beam will get sagging. That portion will get sagging. So this has to be considered. So analysis structure is, we can delete those moments and reaction components, if any, which are the support reactions. After deleting the unnecessary values, the structure, now a cantilever subjected to 2.92 kilonewton meter at B and 10.42 at C. This is required for analysis. We can delete the moment at the fixed end. So this structure is called the analysis structure. So it is the primary structure with equivalent joint load after deleting the moment at the fixed end. So this I will name it as a P1, external load P1. This will be treated as external load P2. Now the total problem is converted into a primary structure, a cantilever beam with redundant R1 and R2, and a cantilever with moment at point B 2.92 kilonewton meter and moment at C 10.42 kilonewton meter anti-clockwise. So this is treated as first one, primary structure with redundant, and this is the primary structure with equivalent joint load after removing the fixed end moment at A. So these two structures are, now we are going to consider, this is called the analysis structure. We are going to consider in the further steps of analysis. So the third step is force transformation matrix. So we are going to consider the structure. This is the primary structure with the first nodal load or the first external force acting at joint B. P1 is equal to 1. By giving P1 is equal to 1, what is the force transformation matrix? It is the relation between the element forces and the nodal forces in the structure. So by applying P1 equals 1, we have to calculate. I am going to mark this. This was the element coordinates we have marked in the first figure. So this is first element A, P1 of A, this is P2 of A. Similarly, the second element B, P1 of B and P2 of B. So now we have to formulate what are the moments at the two ends of each of these elements by applying unit load at a time. So we are giving unit load P1 equal to 1. So we have to draw the bending moment diagram. We have seen. So this is clockwise moment. So it produces hogging. Tends to bend the beam up. So draw the bending moment diagram. This is 1. Here it is 1. So that is the bending moment diagram. By applying P1 equal to 1, this beam bends up and everywhere, considering right of section, everywhere the moment is 1. Now, second one, you give P2 is equal to 1. P2 is an anti-clockwise moment at this end. This is an anti-clockwise moment. P2 is equal to 1. So this beam tends to bend downward. So it produces a sagging moment. So when P2 is equal to 1, if you draw the bending moment diagram, it tends to bend the beam down. This is 1. This is 1. Everywhere it is 1. So anti-clockwise. So here it is clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise. It produces sagging moment. So this is hogging moment and this is sagging moment I have written here. Now next we have to draw R1 is equal to 1. This being subjected to unit reaction at this point with R1 equal to 1. With reference to this point, if we take moment here is 0, the moment here it will be coming down. This produces sagging moment. So this value is, this span is 3 meter. So it is 1 into 3, 3. The moment here is 0, the moment here is, this is sagging clockwise. Next is R2 is equal to 1. This cantilever with unit load here with R2 is equal to 1. Here also this produces sagging and this total distance is 5 plus 3, 8. So this is 8. This point, this distance is 5. So 1 into 5, 5. Now regarding the sign, here the moment is 0. It's clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise. This is sagging moment. So from the base to the ordinate, you mark this. These things we have discussed in the video on force transformation matrix. Now we can easily write what is P1 of A, P2 of A, P1 of B, P2 of B. First column is by giving capital P1 equal to 1, what are the values at both ends of the elements. So for the first element, at this end it is minus 1, at this end it is plus 1. So minus 1, plus 1. For the second element it is 0, 0. Similarly, by applying P2 is equal to 1. For the first element it is plus 1. The second end it is minus 1. For the second element, plus 1, minus 1. Looking into that bending moment diagram, measure the ordinate and the direction is from the horizontal to the ordinate. So P1, P2 we have marked. Now I am going to put a dotted line here and then going to write what is for R1 equals 1. Just to separate these two. For R1 is equal to 1, this value is 3. In this first element, second node, 0. For the second element, 0, 0. Now by giving R2 is equal to 1, these values are, here it is 8, here it is minus 5, here it is plus 5 and 0. This is for easiness I am writing at the top. Actually, this has to be written like this. This into P1, P2. I am putting a P1, P2. Putting a dotted line here. R1, R2. So, we got this small p is equal to A into capital P. So this is the force transformation matrix. Now this force transformation matrix I have made a division like this. So these two are due to the external load. So I am going to mark it as this A, I am going to split it as 2, A suffix P, the transformation matrix due to nodal loads. This I am going to mark it as A suffix R, the transformation matrix obtained by applying unit value of redundant. So this total A matrix is now divided into two, AP and AR. This is called partition of matrices. It is partitioned into two. The next step is step 4, alpha bar. to determine the alpha bar matrix, that is unassembled flexibility matrix. Here there are two elements. So this alpha bar matrix will be, you have to write alpha of A, first element, then in the diagonal you write alpha of B. So the diagonal arrangement of element flexibility matrices of the two elements is called the uncoupled flexibility matrix. So you can derive the flexibility matrix for a beam element you have already derived. It is L by 6 EI into 2 minus 1 minus 2. So substituting that values. Okay. Now you have written this alpha bar. I have calculated alpha L by 6 EI into 2 minus 1 minus 1 2 for each of these elements. Given the length, the moment of inertia, you substitute those values, and for the first element I am getting it as 1 minus 0.5 minus 0.51. For the second element, moment of inertia is 2 EI, substitute the length and you will get these two values. So I have just written that values, the alpha bar matrix, arrange it diagonally, the remaining elements will be 0. So that is the alpha bar matrix. Now the fourth step is lot of computations involved. We have the equation for flexibility matrix. The flexibility matrix is obtained as A transpose alpha bar into A. Here this is the A matrix, that is the alpha bar matrix. So we have to multiply this 4 by 4 matrices and get the flexibility matrix. But here we can do some simplification in calculation because we are going to deal with element approach. Here in this particular structure there are only 2 redundants and 2 external nodal forces. But see, if there are more number of elements and more number of external nodes and nodal forces and more number of redundants, multiplying that n by n matrix is a very difficult task. So what we do is, we do the multiplication also in partially. Instead of this F is equal to A transpose alpha bar A, I can do the multiplication for this AR alone, similarly for AP alone. Ultimately, what is flexibility matrix? It is a deformation in the structure. These are all deflection values. So the deflection values at the point of redundancy due to external load and vice versa. I am going to do in different steps. The first step is FRR. I am going to calculate the deformation in the structure at the place of redundant due to the action of redundance. That is the physical meaning of it. Whether you understand it or not, we can calculate this as, instead of A, you put AR so that the computation is reduced here. AR transpose alpha bar into AR. We do the first step, that is we compute a portion of that flexibility matrix alone. FRR, the deflection or the deformation in the structure at the point of redundancy due to the action of redundance. We calculate as AR transpose alpha bar into AR. So here it is AR. I will calculate that AR transpose alpha bar separately. AR transpose alpha bar I am going to calculate first. So this is 3, 0, 0, 0, 8 minus 5, 5, 0. That is AR transpose of this into alpha bar. Alpha bar is 1 minus 0.5 minus 0.5, 1. These are 0, 0. I am not going to write it. These values are 0.833 minus 0.417 minus 0.417, 0.833. This multiplication is not that difficult as you think. There is 1 by A is outside. This is a 2 by 4 matrix. And this is a 4 by 4 matrix. So what will be the product? The product will be a 2 by 4 matrix. So 1 by EI The first term will be, see, most of the terms are net 0, so it's easy to multiply. 3 into 1, that's all, 3. The second term will be first row into second column, so 3 into minus 0.5, minus 1.5. This row into this column, so the first two terms are negative 0, so this becomes 0. Then this into this, again it becomes 0. First row into first column, first row into second column, first row into, or you can use the calculator and write. Next, 8 into 1, 8 plus 2.5, it works out to 10.5. The second term, minus 9, 4.165, minus 2.085. So it is a 2 by 4 matrix. This is record for us, so I keep it here. Next I can do what is FRR. FRR is equal to 1 by EI. This is AR transpose. AR transpose alpha bar. This is already calculated into AR. This is AR. AR is 3, 0, 0, 0, 8, minus 5, 5, 0. So after this multiplication, this is a 2 by 4 matrix. This is 4 rows and 2 columns, 4 by 2. So the resultant will be 2 by 2. So multiplying this, we will get it as 1 by EI into 9, 31.5, 31.5, 149 point. So the flexibility matrix, it should be a symmetric matrix and diagonally dominant matrix. That is flexibility matrix due to the redundant elon. Now we have got. So we have got FRR. The next step is we are going to get FRP. That is the deformation at the point of redundancy due to external load. So here just put the term. First term is R, so you put AR transpose alpha bar. The second term is P, so AP. AR transpose alpha bar into AP, where that partial calculation AR transpose alpha bar is already written here in the previous step. I have already got it. So copy it here. 1 by EI 3 minus 1.500, 10.5 minus 9, 4.165 minus 2.085, that into A suffix P. So this is AP, the transformation matrix due to external load. So 1, 0, 0, 1, minus 1, 1, minus 1. So instead of multiplying two 4 by 4 matrices, we are doing the steps in a simplified manner. So do here also, this multiplication is not that difficult. Minus 1, 0, etc. So 3 into minus 1, minus 3. Minus 3 minus 1.5 is minus 4.5. Similarly, 3 into 1, 3. 3 plus 1.5, 4.5. Write down the remaining terms. Minus 19.5 and 25.75. So when you multiply it by partitioning, the multiplication becomes easier. So this is also 1 by A outside. We have got the second step also. Now the third step is the flexibility equation. FRR into R plus FRR into R is equal to minus of FRP into P. That is, we have seen the flexibility F into P is equal to delta. So this is FRR into R is equal to delta. Delta is if the unit value of external load, these are the deflections. So if you give the actual value of the load, what will be the deformation? So for this concept, you refer to the constituent deformation method. So here we have FRR into R equals FRP into P. We have got FRP. Let us calculate that also first. The right hand side vector, the delta vector. FRP into P is equal to, this is FRP, minus 4.5, 4.5, minus 19.5, 25.75 into P means the external load, P1 and P2 at the nodes. The values were 2.92 and 10.42. Here we need not give again the sign of 10.42 as minus because that is accounted for in formulation of the transformation matrix. So just give the numerical values of P1 and P2. This is very important. Give values only, because sign has been already taken into account by formulation of transformation matrix. So multiplying this is 2 by 2, this is 2 by 1, this is 2 by 2, this is 2 by 1. So the result will be a 2 by 1 matrix. So this will be 1 by I. 2 by 1 means 2 elements like this. Multiply this and you will get it as 33.75, 211.375. Now let us solve this equation. We have FRR we have already got. So let us, fourth step is FRR into R, 9, 31.5, 31.5, 149.825 into R1, R2 minus of FRP into P. So that is equal to minus 33.75 minus 211.375. Solving these equations, you will get R1 and R2 as 4.49 and minus 2.35. So the step 4 is computationally involved. We have to calculate FRR, the first step, AR transpose alpha bar into AR. The second step, FRP equals AR transpose alpha bar into AP, where this calculation is already done with us. Then FRR into R is equal to minus of FRP into P. That is nothing but the flexibility equation. F into R is equal to minus delta L. This minus delta L, the deflection in the structure due to external load is calculated as FRP into P. So solving this, we will get the redundant values. So the last step, we are going to calculate the final moments. That is the result required for us. The final moments is calculated as fixed end moment plus the internal moments. Fixed end moment values we have written in the second step for calculation of equivalent joint load. And the P is the element forces. This is available in step 3. The small p is the element forces. It is in step 3 we have already written this. That is why I have kept it here itself. So from the step 3, the element forces P1A, P2A, P1B, P2B can be calculated as. These are the values obtained by substituting each of these unit value. Now we have actual values of this. Substitute there. What is the value of P1? P1 is 2.92. P2 is 10.42. R1 and R2 we got from the previous step. 4.49 and minus 2.35. These are the values. Substitute the actual values in step 3. So we will get, after the multiplication, 2.17, 4.25, minus 1.33 and minus 10.42. So these are the internal moments or the element forces after the calculation. Now we want the final moment. So final moment for the structure. First MAB, second end MBA, MBC, MCB is equal to, refer to the second step, write down the fixed end moments from there. First element it was minus 7.5 plus 7.5. For the second element it was minus 10.42 plus 10.42. These are the fixed end moment values from step 2. Together bits you add 2.17, 4.25, minus 1.33, minus 10.42. It will lead to minus 5.33, 11.75, minus 11.750. So you can check MBA plus MBC should be 0, and it's being a simply supported end, the moment that C should be equal to 0. You can check whether your calculation is right. Now the last step is you have to draw the bending moment diagram based on these values. So to draw the bending moment diagram, so the last step you are going to draw the bending moment diagram. So the beam with the given loading, the original structure is drawn, what is given in the question. And the numerical values of the loads were 20 kilonewton and 5 kilonewton per meter. This was 5 meter and this was 3 meter. Draw a horizontal line. The first end, the moment is minus 5.33, that is anti-clockwise. So with this thumb here, you have to go up 5.33 anti-clockwise. This was the original direction, MAB, anti-clockwise. Rotate your hand in the anti-clockwise direction, 5.33. MBA, 11.75, that is clockwise. So B to A, place it like this, clockwise. It has to go up. So it is 11.75. You have to write the unit at least one place. So join this. Next, MBC minus 11.75. B to C minus. So anti-clockwise it will join here. And MCB 0. So this is the fixed end moment diagram. Superimpose the simply supported bending moment diagram. 20 kilonewton. So it is WL by 4. Calculate WL by 4. It works out to 15 kilonewton meter. Here it is WL square by 8. It works out to 15.625 kilonewton meter. Now, a hogging moment diagram is superimposed with sagging diagram. So, hatch. This is the bending moment diagram. This portion is hogging. Here it is sagging. This is hogging. This is sagging. That is, at the support, the bending moment will be hogging, producing tension up. And in the span portion, it will be sagging, producing tension down. So for a continuous beam, you have to give the reinforcement accordingly. Bending moment diagram is drawn to get an idea about where to provide the reinforcement. Where there is tension, you have to provide the reinforcement. So at the support portions, you provide the reinforcement. Hogging means towards the top of the beam, that is above the neutral axis. And in the span portion, you provide the reinforcement below the neutral axis. Okay, with that, I think we have completed one example. And one more example, I will do it in the next video. Thank you.